Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today's video might be a bit lengthy one, therefore I'm going to be putting up talking points that side of the corner, somewhere over there. As I go through them, I will be typing out what I'm mentioning, and we're going to be kind of discussing the changes, balance changes, and mainly about Cull Obsidian, let's be real, because that is a point where people are most upset, and I'll try to keep as clean head as possible. Now, I do not have any specific script. I do have obviously ideas that I do want to talk about, and let's start with the first one, data. So here is the one really important thing, is because I actually generally do not have any belief whatsoever that Kabam has accurate data in the first place, just because since Cull Obsidian actually arrived in the game, he got bugged, then he was bugged for several weeks, then for a week or two he did insane amount of damage, then he got fixed, and basically what I'm saying is I think they are looking also at the increased damage data. I don't think they legit kind of like went through what days they got their data from within these 3 months, because let's face it, about month and a half or 2 months of this time period he was not actually performing as he was intended, and I think that data also includes the period when he was dealing significantly too big of a damage output. So that is kind of like the main thing, the data. Obviously the second thing is they are not looking at all of the data. They can maybe be looking at damage numbers, but once again they're not looking at how many people use this character. I don't think they're looking at how much it costs them to ramp the character up. They are not looking at how many different paths it actually can do, because there's only that much certain data can tell you. There's always a lot more data you could use. For instance, you could use how popular the character is, how many paths per quest on average player who does use Cull Obsidian can use it on, so on and so forth, guys. I just generally do believe that they have fairly skewed, and by they obviously I mean Kabam, perspective on how to read this data, and they see what they want to see in it, more or less, rather than looking at overall picture. And once again, this largely comes down to the fact that they don't genuinely play their own game. They don't know what's happening up with players. If they did, they would know that Cull Obsidian is nowhere kind of like to the top of the tier list. He is not something everybody's chasing. They would know that yes, he can pack a punch, but for most part it's often not worth it. Proxim Midnight can pack a punch, it's not worth to ramp her up in every single fight, right? There are many champions who can deal absolute ton of damage, and yes, Cull Obsidian, once he's ramped, possibly he is the biggest damage dealing champion, but ramped up Cull Obsidian or Ghost from fight 1, which one you would pick? Everybody would go for Ghost. Is this, and the comments they made in forums by Mikey again was like that they would have to create content to specifically counter Cull Obsidian. Really? Cull Obsidian is the champion that needs countering? I highly doubt it, because it's super easy way to counter him in the first place. There are tons of nodes you can't use him. It's very situational, unlike many of the other top tier champions. And even if he does do that damage at end of the path, at end of the map, towards like the last fight of the quest or last 3 fights of the quest, who cares? You will have spent so much on it. You will have spent more than you would if you simply took champions that do good amount of damage and push through the quest, I would say. And yeah, therefore I have absolutely no faith in the fact that Kabam generally knows how to read their data, and that they are even looking at the correct data. And now we're going to be taking a look at point number 2, and point number 2 is going to be timetable. I guess timetables. Yeah, because here's also extremely important thing. First of all, it might or might not be a technicality. They said that these champions are going to get looked at before they enter basic hero crystal pool. Cull's already in basic hero crystals, so they're just late. Simple as that. For instance, also the fact that this champion was bugged multiple times and already looked at multiple times, and there was no hint of indication that anything could change, is also like fairly misleading. Like for me, I pulled Cull, I was happy, I was like fairly kind of undecided about him, because he was not like one of the top champions. He had some uses, but he was not the champion I wanted to rank up immediately. and then he got bugged. His damage output got lowered significantly, so I didn't rank him then. Then he was dealing insane damage output. I still didn't rank him because I knew he's going to be fixed. I did not know how he's going to end up being. And then they fixed him. They returned him to his original damage output. I thought everything's over, right? Kabam has looked at this character already multiple times, fixed him, and I thought like, well, now that the storm's over, kind of the character is working as he should be, I should be fine to rank him. And it turns out no, like a month later, this is going to be like the 4th time Cull Obsidian has changed in the game within like 4 months I believe that he's released, and I'm sorry, that's just unacceptable. We deserve better, like in a sense, like you release a character that goes from bug to bug to bug, and finally when you kind of like claim that he's fixed, working as intended, people actually take the step forward, rank him, many of whom actually don't enjoy him, by the way, just FYI, but that's not particularly relevant, and then he gets looked at again. And that just creates this kind of like, once again, sense of incompetence in whatever Kabam is doing, how they're looking at the things. And it creates a lot of mistrust as well, because just recently after he got like fixed and updated, his Cavalier Crystals came about, and Ebony Maw Cavalier Crystals came out, which also had increased chance of obtaining Cull. And now he's getting changed. So I definitely have an issue with all these changes within the timetable that they have done. And first of all, the fact that it's getting looked at 3 months afterwards, but we're going to get into that a bit later. Now the third point is block proficiency. Block prof increase. I'm going to block prof increase. Because here is the point, right? I think it was brought up by Seaton originally, and many people on forums have pointed it out, because if Kabam actually wanted to do balancing of the character, it would have been perfectly acceptable if they say, look, we're gonna slightly reduce his damage output, we're gonna make sure he's among the top hitters, but we're gonna, let's say, increase his block efficiency to make sure it's easier to ramp him up, and therefore he would be much more well-rounded character overall, right? And then there would have been nowhere big of an issue. That obviously would be still a few people who are complaining, because people always like to complain, right? The problem currently is we don't know what they're going to be doing. Only piece of information that we have been given is the fact that he hits too hard, they're going to take his damage down. Now there are some people saying like they might increase his block efficiency. If that was their initial plan, they would have said so. They would have mentioned that they will be looking at other stats and kind of like make him more durable, sustainable. No, that was not mentioned. And Kabam are not that silly. If they would have had some sort of tool to reduce the outrage of community, they would have used it if they had thought of it, and they clearly didn't. That was not in their initial plan. Now, because of the outrage of the community, they might do it. It would be very smart for them to do it. They can say like, we're gonna lower Cull's attack, but we're gonna make him more durable, we're gonna make him more cheap to run, and it's actually gonna work out for everyone, because he's not gonna be hitting these numbers that Kabam is afraid of, and people will have easier time using the character, which might actually end up better for the character, right? But then that is what they should have said in the first place. And here is like another huge problem for Kabam, because they don't communicate things clearly. There's no kind of like, once again, set rules, guidelines, clear communication down the line. They just drop an announcement, post in like a couple of follow-up posts, because that forum thread is abandoned now. Like, it's been well over 30 hours, I think, since the announcement came out. They dropped an announcement. Kabam Mike replied with a couple of Mikeisms, again, saying that people are basically being punished for not having Cull Obsidian, and they're going to have to design their content afterwards. It's just ridiculous. It might even beat his cadence heavy attack thing, honestly, if you think about it. But whatever. And then that's it. There's no more information given from Kabam. Not even any sort of form of acknowledgement that they are actually looking at it, thinking about maybe touching the block proficiency, maybe leaving the Cull. They have said nothing. They just give us silent treatment. And therefore, yeah, I don't think they have any sort of initial plans to visit Cull's block proficiency. Also, if somebody say maybe the nerf is not going to be too bad and maybe we are overreacting to that, I'm gonna talk a bit more in my next point, but it doesn't really matter though, because it's kind of like the base idea that people are finding an issue here. The base idea that the champs are being changed, that they have charged incredible amount of money for, and that the people have paid that money via grinding, featured Grandmaster crystals, featured Cavalier crystals, everything and anything, right? And just people have absolutely no faith in Kabam, myself included. I don't trust them to read an Excel spreadsheet correctly, let alone kind of like evaluate the state of the game and what needs balancing. I generally do not think there are plenty of people who are mentally capable to do that in that company. And if I'm wrong, fair enough, prove me wrong, actually come to us, talk to us, explain where the data came from, explain what kind of data you're looking at, actually kind of work with us, show us your work, basically, how did you arrive to this conclusion? Because I have no faith you did it correctly. And there we go. Even if that buff isn't, even if that nerf isn't big, even if they reduce the damage by 1, there is also a lot of kind of like issue with that, because there is a principle involved in all of that. Then the principle is that you don't know what you buy. You don't know what you buy. And that is the biggest issue, because up until now, for vast like majority of the game, when the character came out, assuming he wasn't like majorly bugged or anything, you knew what you're going to be getting. You read his ability description, you knew that he more than likely will be working like that, but there might be a few bugs, whatever, that they're going to actually try and fix it. But the base idea was, when you saw a character, when you saw the way he played, let's say from CCP videos, oh my god, this champion deals that much damage. Okay, yeah, I want him for that. Maybe you don't have the full grasp of how good or bad the champion is, but you saw what he does. Now, let's say all the CCP videos are pretty much irrelevant, because you don't know how the champion is going to look like after 3, 4, 5, 6 months, how big of these changes are going to be. People are just flat out afraid right now, and that's never a good thing. That's never a good thing. Like, here is like the problem, right? There are actual legit occupation these days as a game tester. There are people who test games out for gaming companies, give their feedback, and get paid for it. That's a legit job these days. Then there are obviously a lot of companies who give people champions to beta test for free. That would be, let's say, our CCP. They would technically be their beta testers. But what's happening now is that we as players are essentially paying Kabam money for the privilege to acquire the champion, to beta test it for them, see if they are happy with it, see whether they can change it, and then kind of like we can move from there on out. If they're going to be changed, I will still have spent my money, right? No, that's not okay. That's definitely not okay. If they want to do these champion adjustment things, give everyone the champion. Let them beta test. Collect your data. Change it away. But don't cash in on a single penny before you can say this is the version of the characters that the players are going to be playing for foreseeable future, unless some major circumstances change. Not because you feel like it, if you had a legit reason to change a champion. Because let's face it, balance updates in themselves aren't a horrible thing. If company who does the balance updates knows what they're doing, if they're correcting the correct things. Once again, we can refer to 12.0. 12.0 was not a bad thing. It was presented horribly. Many people had issue with it. I had issue with it. But now, a few years later, hindsight's 2020, it wasn't bad. Communication was horrible. Introduction of it was horrible. Everybody got up in arms. It wasn't the worst thing to happen. Maybe this is not the worst thing to happen either. But convince me, tell me, prove me, because I don't believe you. Tell me that everything's going to be okay. Tell me that this is for good of everyone. Don't take my money before you come up with your product, and convince me that these kind of like moves to the future are for the benefit of everybody. They might be. Kabam has proved themselves to be right in the long term plenty of times. You might know what they're doing. But convince me. Sell your product to me. I am paying for this game, right? I am the player. I am the consumer. You need to sell your product to me. So in this case, I think that Kabam needs to convince us as a community that they know what they're doing. Letting Kabam Mike post all the cadence things and punished for not having Cull and design specific counters to... No, that's just sheer incompetence. Take Mikey off forums. Honestly, the only thing Kabam Mike should be allowed to do on forums is press post button on pre-written text that has been written by somebody with an actual piece of brain in their head and some sort of knowledge of the game. But yeah, so here is, we don't know what we buy. I don't want to be your beta tester. I certainly don't want to pay for being your beta tester. And maybe you know what you're doing with balance changes. Prove me. Like, tell me that you do. Show me your work. Convince me as a player, as a customer, that it's happening for the good. 12.0 was great. I have no problems admitting that initially I was skeptical. If I had a YouTube channel, I probably would have made a rant video. Hindsight's 2020. It was a good thing. Maybe this is too. Maybe. I doubt it. Maybe. But convince us. Calm us down. People are worried. People are afraid. People are upset for a good reason they are. Right, and now we're going to move on to point number 5. And it's again going to be communication. Communication. And that's because we are not getting told anything. They're not telling us anything. They're not proving anything to us. They're not convincing. They are basically expecting us to go on blind faith that anything they do is for betterment of us without kind of like influencing their financial interests. Kind of like saying, if we don't nerf Cull, we can't design a good content for you guys. No, really? Right? They are completely kind of ignoring the fact that they're a company, right? At least when they're talking to us. Or the fact that these champions that are changing have cost a lot of money to many people, and there's a lot on stake for many people. And none of it getting explained. As I said before, they drop an announcement, they maybe post a couple of replies, and then that's it. They have abandoned it till now. And it has happened time and time again. Whenever any kind of issue is, they just go on the silent mode. They just ignore it. Only threads they do post in is when somebody says like, yeah, I pulled my first 5-star, it become uncollected. The moderator is going to go in the thread and go like, congratulations. But when it comes to answering an actual problem, nobody does it. Only thing they do is they remove half of the posts that they, for whatever criteria, deem unfit to be in forum because it's their forum and they can do it. And yeah, that is disastrous. I have been saying like for weeks now, I believe, we need rules, we need guidelines, we need to know what you're going to be doing. And now they have set the rules. After 3 months, they're going to be looking at the characters. They have broken them already because they said that it's going to be before the champions get added to the basic crystal. Well, guess what? Cull is in basic crystal. You said 3 months. It's been well over 3 months since Cull's been added. Set your rules, stick to your rules. And also another thing, because that announcement came out afterwards Cull was introduced. So somebody who's going to say that Kabam has warned everybody that this is what they're going to be doing. Therefore, if you spent money on Cull Obsidian Cavaliers, you still have no reason to be upset because Kabam said that they're going to be doing this. No, because that announcement came a month ago. Cull came out 4 months ago. So people who purchased the Cavalier Crystal 4 months ago had no idea this announcement will come. So maybe you can somehow slither your slimy little bottom out of this for some future upcoming changes in champions. Let's say Clairvoyant. Everybody's worried her regions get nerfed. But in Clairvoyant's case, you have already made this announcement in the past saying that 3 months after the release, you're going to be looking at balance changes. And maybe you have a tiny bit more moral ground to stand on. But you are doing it retroactively for the cash that has already been spent. So I spent, let's say, I don't know, my $500, $800 trying to get Cull Obsidian. I did it. At that point, I had no idea you are going to be announcing this kind of thing. And that is going to possibly affect my champion. Now, if I spend $500 on Clairvoyant featured Cavalier Crystals, I have been told, I have been warned. I don't like it, I don't agree with it, I don't trust you to do it. But at least you can say that I have been warned. Before that, there was absolutely nothing there, mate. So that is definitely a huge talking point as well. Whether these are the champions you should be looking at, or maybe it's just the champions that you are releasing after the announcement. And if so, once again, tell us, talk to us, discuss us. Maybe if you had opened this announcement and followed up with discussion, hey guys, what do you think? Should we be looking at the champions you have already purchased? Should we be looking at the champions you have already paid your money for? Or should we be only doing it with forward? Ask the community, do a poll, discuss like reasonable arguments, make people vote, whatever, pretend that you care about our opinion, and then maybe we wouldn't be as outraged or upset. Because now, once again, next month is Namor, right? Namor is a really good champion, a really high prestige champion. Namor definitely earned Kabam a lot of money. So many people went for him. I went for him. I was desperate to get him because he was up there prestige-wise. I needed to do something. I was crazy for him. And he's going to be looked at next month. Now, will I personally think they're going to do anything about Namor? Probably not, just because of how much of an outrage there is right now with Kabam. Would have they done it if this would have went smooth? Probably. I do personally believe that if nobody would care about Cull's damage being changed, Namor would probably get hit as well. Now, possibly not, but that would be again like actual Kabam looking for some sort of feedback. And yeah, so my last plea and last bit again is kind of going to be addressed to Kabam, and this is going to be the last talking point, I promise. I know this video is kind of stretching out. So the 6th point again, higher players. And once again, this situation could have completely been avoided if you came in with your, let's say, here is going to be the difference. This announcement you made, let's just quickly pop in forums, upcoming Cull Obsidian changes. Let's just find that general discussion. So it already, within like 30 days, has 42,000 views, 1,200 replies. People are well outraged. I can guarantee you this thread would be 100 times smaller, or at least 10 times smaller, if your announcement instead of this bubble would have been, we are going to be looking at Cull Obsidian's damage output because we are worried that it is too large. However, in order to maintain the balance in the game and actually try and balance the character, we're going to be also looking at his block proficiency because we do not think that he is a well thought out character and he is too expensive to ramp up. Additionally, we will be providing players with Cull specific round down tickets should they choose to rank this champion down. So basically it comes saying we're going to change Cull, we're not going to nerf him per se, we're going to be rebalancing him, which this is what the thread should be about. We're going to be looking at his block proficiency, we're going to be lowering his damage ceiling, but we're going to be increasing his sustainability, and that should create more balanced, well-rounded character, you dumbasses. Also, additionally, since you have spent money on it, we understand if you're not happy, and we're going to be providing a rank down ticket. Obviously, there's still an issue of money and signature crystals and awakening gems and stuff like that, but at least if you had made these two small kind of like things, adjustments, there would be 10 times less the outrage. Now you might be doing it, but we don't know that you're going to be doing it. Cull might be fine, everybody, this might be just unneeded, right? No, wrong, because it's needed. Why? Because you don't tell us jack shit. Until you learn to tell us things that we have to know, people are going to get outraged. People might be right now outraged over nothing. Cull change might be absolutely irrelevant, but that's not the point. The point is what you as a company are doing and have done. You have sold us a product that you are openly going to change, that we have no say in, that we have no faith in you can manage and change properly. And that's what you're doing. And that's why there's outrage. Because players just don't feel appreciated. They don't feel taken care of. And here is, once again, hire players who know how it feels to play this game, hire players who know how it is to interact with community, hire people from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 5 alliances, hire different progression level players, different mentality, hire players who spend on the game, hire players who grind on the game. I'm not saying obviously hire me, there are hundreds of players that play this game day in and day out. They know this game best. They know the game better than you do. They know how it feels. They will be able to tell you what's wrong, what's right. You can give them champions to play test before their release, after their release, ask for their input. It's a simple thing. You lot pretend you play this game, but it's evident after time that you do not. I'm sorry, if any of you actually, let's say, would be hired to play this game and hang around in line chats in an interactive community and talk to people, let's say, I don't know, Kabam undercover agent, whatever, how you want to class it, then you would know these basic things, what to do. You don't need to do much, you just need to be open, honest. Like right now, the forum this forum thread has been on absolute silent mode for 30 hours. It doesn't take much for anybody to pop in saying like, we hear your feedback, we accept your worries. It does seem that like we might need to relook at our position at Cull Obsidian. There might be some discussion taking place, and we will keep you guys updated, whatever. It's not going to be what everybody wants to hear, but at least it's going to show that you care about the people who are worried. Currently, not so much, eh? But yeah, that is pretty much going to be it for today. It is quite a long video. I'm sorry for keeping you guys so long. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Do let me know what you guys think. What is your opinion about this whole debacle, about this whole change? I am certainly worried, and it's not that just change. As I said times and times before, I'm worried about lack of rules, lack of kind of consistency from Kabam. I don't know like what I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do. I don't know what I can rank, I can't rank, what should I? And it just feels like all hanging up in there and be at mercy of Kabam, and that's something I don't want to accept. I do understand it's their game, they can do whatever they want, but it's also our game because we play it, we pay for it. So realistically, it belongs to both of us, and it's not fair that only one side has a voice. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment, hit up. How do you think? Kabam is handling everything well, perfectly? Kabam is handling things poorly? What do you think is going to happen? Neymar next? Who's after that? Many things to be thought about. This is definitely a food for thought right now. And just the last thing that I wanted to kind of clarify, because when I said I'm going to stop spending, I mean it. However, I would like everybody to avoid the word boycott. I just hate that word. I think it's dragged down in the earth. I never called anyone for boycott. I'm just saying, people, be yourselves, evaluate what's happening in the game. Are you happy with your company? And reflected that with your actions. That is what I'm saying. Boycott as such probably won't happen. What can happen? People can stop spending. You can still log in the game, like, because if you boycott the game, it also means you don't log in it, you don't participate in it and stuff like that. No, play the game that you love. Play it. I love MCOC. I'm gonna play it. I'm just not gonna give my money to the company I have no faith in. I'm still gonna log in. The game is great. I love it. I'm not gonna just ignore everything. I'm not gonna mess with my alliance. I'm not gonna mess with my friends just because I have a grudge on Kabam. If I have a problem with Kabam, I'm gonna mess with Kabam, and the only way I can do it is with my money and my opinion, not throwing childish tantrums, not logging in the game, yelling boycott. That is a message that should be spread around, not some sort of mob mentality. The message that should be spread around is think what's happening, think how you feel about it, and act accordingly. Don't need some sort of mob pitchforks up in there about everything. Just legit stop people thinking for yourselves. But yeah, that's about it. Now I'm done, really done. See you guys.